We're here with Tom Ladegaard. Like at that moment, there should be like this huge applause coming from a huge crowd. You are not a boring trademark business attorney. You have a spice to you. And I have the pleasure of actually working with you. That's super fun for me because even though I'm a loan officer, I get to kind of satisfy my love of law, being a part of it, being in the midst of it, watching what you do. It's super cool for me. So I'm super happy to have you here today. You drove all the way up from Oceanside. So thank you for being here. You're a trademark business attorney?
I also share your love of the law. And the longer I do it, the more I love it. Yeah, I'm a business attorney. That's how I brand myself. But trademark is my jam. That's my favorite practice area. I think trademarks are sexy.
Ooh, sexy. So how'd you get into trademark specifically?
I did my own. I used to have a videography business where I interviewed senior citizens and recorded their life stories. I called it Eternal Roots. I decided to trademark that for myself. And so I did it not knowing what I was doing, and I screwed it up. I got hit with an office action that was intimidating and scary, and I didn't understand it. I let it sit there for about 4 or 5 months, and there's a 6-month deadline. I got several solicitations from sleazy lawyers trying to do it for me. And I just decided to figure it out. I managed to get my application through the system and get it registered. And when that certificate arrived in the mail, it felt so good to see that I had nationwide exclusivity for my own brand, for my own business. And it felt great. And I just realized like, this is a service I can provide to others. So before I could really be in a position where I could do this for others, I had to learn. And I learned by teaching. So I started educating myself on it, and then I started teaching on trademark in front of entrepreneurial groups.
Oh, very cool.
So by teaching, I became the student. And then I started taking on a few clients, figuring it out, smashing my head against the wall a few times. And since then, I've done probably 180 trademarks in the last 4 years. And so I've learned by doing.
Yeah, you finished the end of the year. You were like going strong at the end of 2022. You rolled into 2023, beating some, I'm sure, records of your own. What I thought was super cool with you is like, you're like, I think I want to do this many trademarks by the end of the year. And then you just like blew that out of the water. It was like a personal goal. Now, you brought up something that actually was one of the questions I wanted to ask you about. What is an office action? Because it sounds really scary. Or does it? I mean, as I was looking into it, it sounds like something that's not very fun. Like, what is that exactly for a trademark?
Technically, an office action is a letter you get from the USPTO in response to your application. It takes about 10 months until a human being looks at your application. And if everything's good with your app, they don't find any conflicts or problems, you flow right through to publication. When you get an office action, it means there's a problem.
Okay.
And so it's a letter from the USPTO saying, we are denying your application because. Sometimes the grounds in the office action are easily overcome. I got to check this box, something like that, something simple. Sometimes it's something that you can't overcome, like a conflict, and then you're just done. And then I have to have an uncomfortable conversation with my client.
Oh, okay. Okay. So is that kind of one of the reasons why you would recommend somebody going through you versus trying to do it on their own online? Because I know there's a lot of legal services online. I feel very strongly about whether it be a corporation, LLC, or obviously trademark, that no legal things should be done on any website. And I actually know that from personal experience.
I'm sorry.
I didn't know you. Okay, I didn't know you. But can you tell me what instance where it would be perfect? And that's the reason why you want to use someone like you versus trying to do it on your own.
Well, it's not just dealing with the office action, it's hopefully avoiding one in the first place. But yes, so you don't need a lawyer to do your own trademark. Any person can go file their own trademark. You can't do it on behalf of another person because that'd be the practice of law. But you could file your own trademark. Legally, you don't need an attorney. I don't recommend it for several reasons. First of all, one thing I tell people is like, if you have a business, you have your own zone of genius. There's things that you do well that you're an expert at, and that's why you're in business. Mm-hmm. So why are you going to go be an amateur lawyer and spend your time learning something that a professional can do for you? So that takes you away from your core mission and your where you're strong. So for example, I'm not much of a graphic designer. Mm-hmm. If I would go and design my own logo or my own graphic design, it's going to look amateurish. So why am I going to be an amateur graphic designer?
Right.
I'm going to hire someone who's a pro who's going to do it right. Why are you going to be an amateur lawyer?
Yeah.
Have an actual lawyer do your legal work for you and then you can focus on your strengths.
That makes a lot of sense. I can see that with any business, whether it be in the world that I'm in real estate, or be accounting, or your bookkeeping. It's like you started this business to be great at that thing, not to waste a bunch of time taking time away from what you're trying to do by Googling how to be an attorney or how to file your own trademark or figuring out those things. So that makes a lot of sense.
And I'm very grateful for my CPA. The last thing I want to do is file and screw up my own tax return. I got a professional. I pay for that.
Yeah.
And he's free. The money my CPA saves me more than offsets what I pay the man. And that's what I tell my clients. So hiring me to do your trademark, I'm basically free because of the hassle and the headache you're going to save and the benefits of having a well-done trademark that actually fits your classification. And so when people do it themselves and they get hit with an office action, so sometimes they'll make errors in the application process. Then they get hit with an office action. And then they try to cure the office action. Then they cause 10 more problems. I've had people come to me where their application is just a knot. And now I got to untie this knot. And now it costs the client as much money, if not more, to fix it than had they just gone with me in the first place.
Yeah, so while they might be going online thinking like, oh, this is a cheaper way to do this, it really isn't necessarily a cheaper way. It could be a lot more expensive, and they could be setting themselves up for like exposure of major problems, right?
Absolutely. Or when people use online services to set up their LLC or their corporation, I tell people you get what you pay for. So yeah, that service is cheaper than me. Absolutely. But that service is also not your lawyer. They push paper. It's a mill. If you've got questions, there's not a human being there to answer them for you. There's an 800 number where you're going to talk to staff who's not a lawyer. And so a lot of times people will set up their LLC using an online company, and then the company often drops the ball, steps get skipped, and they don't get done right, and companies go into suspension. I have to fix these things all the time. But people just don't know what to do next. And that's where you need a human being. That's where you need the relationship.
Well, I have lots of questions to ask you about business formations, LLCs, corporations. But before I get to that, I wanted to ask you, who would need a trademark and why would somebody want a trademark?
If you have a name for your business, for your product, for your service, a slogan, a logo, and you don't want a competitor having a same or similar branding, you really want to plant your flag and set yourself apart from the competition. By getting a trademark, you get nationwide exclusivity for your brand within your business classification. You can set yourself apart from your competitors, but also if one of your competitors steps into your space and they have branding that's confusingly similar to your own, you can shut them down.
Okay, I like that. I have so many things going through my head about people who should be trademarking some things right now, or maybe even slogans. But again, like because of the industry I'm in, I see it all the time. When should somebody do a trademark? If they know that they're forming a business, if they've already been in business, is there a certain time you should be in business before you do this? When's the best time?
The funny thing is you actually prepared a meme for me just on this topic last week. And so
I did.
One thing I probably need to trademark this myself, but my advice to people, the best time to file your trademark is yesterday. And the second best time is today.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Right. So you want to do it as soon as possible in your business journey. You can even do it before you're using the mark in commerce. So there's a procedure where you can lock down a trademark before you're even using it. So you want to do it sooner than later. Sometimes people, this is a massive mistake I see people do. They wait. They wait because they want to be making seven figures. They want to have all their ducks in a row. They overthink it. And so they procrastinate on it.
Yeah.
And then this breaks my heart. I hate when I see this. I just did a consultation a couple of weeks ago with somebody who's been using a certain mark for about 3 years now. And then she finally gets around to consulting with me. And I go look up her name and I find somebody else registered the name a year ago.
Oh, no. Yeah. Really? Oh, that would be rough. Only a year ago.
Right.
And she's been using it for 3.
Correct.
Oh.
So had she locked it down earlier in her business journey rather than later, she could have been blocking that other person, but now she's got a headache. And now we're having to have a very uncomfortable conversation about, I think you need to rebrand.
Oh, so did they trademark what it is that she's been using?
The competitor did, yes.
Oh, okay. So now if she uses it, she's now infringing upon their trademark?
In theory, yes. Now she could come back and say, well, I was using it before you, but that person has the registration, which creates a judicial presumption of the validity of that other person's trademark.
Okay.
So they're in the position of strength, even though technically the other person, the person I consulted with, was using it first. The other person has the piece of paper, the registration. There's a lot of power in that piece of paper.
So if she had done it the 3 years prior when she started using it, and then this happened, this person started using it without obviously a trademark, what type of legal action would she have against that person? Like how does it protect her, that trademark?
Well, so trademarks are not self-enforcing. You have to enforce them yourself. The Patent and Trademark Office does not do it for you. You have to defend your own, you have to defend your own mountain, basically.
Okay, that's what you're for.
And so that's where the attorney steps in. So they draw up a nicely worded or sometimes not cease and desist letter.
Okay.
And usually a cease and desist letter on attorney letterhead is sufficient to get someone's attention and get them in line. Sometimes not. So the only way to truly enforce a trademark is through litigation in federal court.
You said you could do it like it's like the brand, right? Can be trademarked. Is that accurate?
Well, so brand is a general term. So a lot of things can be trademarked. It could be the name of your business. If your name is distinctive, it could be the name of your product or your service, a module, a slogan. There's so many different avenues you can go for trademarks. So you can have several trademarks. In fact, I've got a slogan I trademarked that says, trademarks are like tattoos. Once you get one, you want another. I've got clients who just kind of get addicted to it. They keep coming back to me. I just had one hit me up last night. I CC'd you where somebody wants another trademark. I've already got 8 for her. She wants another one.
Definitely like that when it comes to tattoos, for sure. I think that there's so many people who have these amazing businesses, and I just feel like they need to be protected. There'd be, like you said, their slogan or something specific about their brand or their service or whatever it is that they're doing. I see such value in what it is that you do. I have a lot of business owners, whether it be real estate agents or business owners in the area or outside of it, who could benefit from understanding how they can protect their brand or their, sorry, I probably keep saying that wrong, but, trademark themselves in some capacity. So when do you get to use that little TM next to your name? Like, when do you do it? After it's completely done, or do you do it once it's filed? Like, when do you use that?
That's an excellent question. I'm glad you asked that. So you can put a superscript TM next to your branding. You could do it at any time, and I encourage you to do so. So let's say you don't have the registration, you're just starting out. I have this distinctive name. I want to just put the public on notice that this is mine, don't take it. That's what the TM is for. So the TM signifies that the person using that mark regards it as a trademark, but it also signifies that it's not registered. So TM is for unregistered trademarks. Oh, okay. When you get the registration, when the process is complete and you actually get a registration number, that's when you use the circle R. Okay. Circle R is only for registered owners. Do not put a circle R if you're not a registered owner, then you're just a poser. And if you go to apply for one, that could be grounds to deny it. Yeah. Or if you're calling yourself a registered trademark and you're not, and somebody else has that registration, that's going to be a legal problem for you. Okay.
It's funny because since working with you, I actually started to notice it so much more. And even walking in here to Patriot Pacific, I noticed that we have the little R next to Patriot Pacific Financial. I don't know if it's in here. It's upstairs in the main office, but I was like, oh, well, that made me think, like, what's the difference? And then you just explained it. So thanks for answering that question for me without asking for it.
I geek out on this stuff, by the way. I just got to jump in and say this. I see circle R's everywhere. And sometimes when I'm bored or if I got time to kill, I'll go look it up just out of curiosity. There are times where I'm driving with my kids and we're at a red light and I see a truck pull up, like a delivery truck. I'll go, hey, kids. That's a trademark. That's a trademark. That's a trademark. Because you see circle R's all over. I love it. Yeah. So my kids have an eye for that stuff too. That's so cute. I love Even this little water bottle that's at the table here. I'm sure if I really studied this label, I'd find little trademarks on it too. I love that. That's super cool.